Just after midnight, a news alert jolted the nation Chinese Coast Guard vessel in tense standoff with Philippine supply ship near Malampaya. On the dark, restless waters of the South China Sea, the BRP Sierra Madre was intercepted by a massive Chinese ship, its floodlights blinding and its horn blaring. The Filipino captain, calm but resolute, asserted his right to navigate within Philippine waters. The Chinese response was intimidation, circling, blocking, and making their presence impossible to ignore. This was no accident. It was a calculated show of force, a warning to the Philippines, and a reminder that Malampaya sits on the front line of a geopolitical struggle. In Manila, officials scrambled to respond, knowing this was more than a maritime dispute. It was a direct challenge to national sovereignty. The gas platform nearby kept running, but the invisible pipeline now felt dangerously exposed. As dawn broke and the Chinese ship withdrew, relief was fleeting. The image of a giant Chinese vessel looming over a small Filipino boat became a symbol of the country's David and Goliath struggle. The question was no longer if China would threaten Malampaya again, but when and how the Philippines could possibly respond. The standoff was a wake-up call. The nation's energy security was now at the mercy of forces far beyond its control. The world watched, and the stakes had never been clearer. The confrontation was over, but the anxiety remained. The next move, everyone knew, would be even more consequential. Malampaya isn't just an industrial site. It's the beating heart of Philippine energy. Deep beneath the sea off Palawan, its gas powers up to 20% of the country's electricity, keeping Manila and Luzon alive. Any disruption, technical or political, would mean blackouts, economic paralysis, and a sudden reliance on costly imported fuels. Malampaya has generated billions for the government, created thousands of jobs, and reduced dependence on foreign energy. But the original gas field is running out, making new discoveries nearby crucial for the country's future. These new reserves could extend Malampaya's life for decades, if the Philippines can keep control. Yet, these hopes are now threatened by China's aggressive claims over the same waters. The nation's energy independence hangs in the balance. China's threat to Malampaya is the result of years of calculated expansion in the South China Sea. Using its sweeping 9-dash line, Beijing claims nearly the entire sea, overlapping the Philippines' legal exclusive economic zone. China has built military bases on artificial islands, projecting power and intimidating neighbors. Its Coast Guard and maritime militia swarm the waters, harassing Filipino vessels and blocking access to resources. The goal: make it impossible for the Philippines to develop its own gas fields without Beijing's approval. This creeping blockade holds the country's energy future hostage. Manila faces a stark choice: stand up to a superpower or surrender its own resources. The pressure is relentless, and the stakes are nothing less than national survival. The Malampaya standoff is just the latest in a long line of Chinese provocations. In 2012, China seized Scarborough Shoal after a tense standoff, shutting out Filipino fishermen. In 2011, Chinese patrol boats forced a Philippine survey ship to abandon oil exploration in the Reed Bank, the very area of the new gas finds. Each incident sent a chilling message: China will use force and intimidation to block Philippine access to its own resources. These events aren't isolated. They're part of a consistent strategy to undermine Philippine sovereignty. The lesson is clear. China's aggression is persistent, calculated, and escalating. The threat to Malampaya is real and growing. President Marcos Jr. faces a daunting task: defend Philippine sovereignty without provoking open conflict. Unlike his predecessor, he's taken a firmer stance, publicizing Chinese harassment and rallying international support. Journalists now document every encounter, exposing Beijing's tactics to the world. At home, the government is modernizing the Navy and Coast Guard, investing in new ships, radar, and surveillance. The goal isn't to match China's might, but to build a credible deterrent and assert presence in Philippine waters. Diplomacy remains vital. China is a major trading partner, and open conflict would be disastrous. Marcos walks a tightrope, firm on sovereignty, but always seeking peaceful resolution. This dual approach defines the new Philippine strategy. The stakes, nothing less than control over the nation's future. A key pillar of Marcos's strategy is revitalizing the alliance with the United States. The 1951 Mutual Defense Treaty now explicitly covers attacks on Philippine vessels in the South China Sea. U.S. leaders have made it clear, aggression against Philippine ships could trigger American intervention. This warning raises the stakes for China, making escalation far riskier. The Enhanced Defense Cooperation Agreement allows U.S. forces access to key Philippine bases, including those near Malampaya. Joint military exercises like Balikatan now include live-fire drills in contested waters, a powerful signal to Beijing. These moves aren't just for show, they're strategic deterrents. By deepening ties with Washington, Manila hopes to make any attack on Malampaya too costly for China to risk. The U.S. alliance is the Philippines' strongest shield. The message, the world is watching, and the Philippines is not alone. Protecting Malampaya is about more than electricity. It's about the nation's economic future. Stable, domestic energy attracts investment, creates jobs, and fuels growth. Without it, the Philippines would be forced to rely on volatile, expensive imported gas, exposing the economy to global shocks. The new gas fields could fund infrastructure, social services, and poverty reduction. Letting China block development would mean surrendering not just sovereignty, but billions in potential revenue. Energy security is the foundation of national independence. If the Philippines can't control its own resources, it can't control its destiny. The fight for Malampaya is a fight for the country's future. Amid the standoffs, the Philippines wields a powerful weapon: international law. In 2016, an international tribunal ruled China's 9-dash line invalid, affirming the Philippines' rights over Malampaya and nearby waters. China rejected the ruling, but the legal victory transformed the dispute into a global issue of law and order. The tribunal can't enforce its decision, but the ruling gives Manila moral and diplomatic leverage. The Marcos administration uses it to rally support from the US, Japan, Australia, and Europe. The fight is no longer just about territory. It's about defending the rules that govern the world's oceans. The arbitral award remains the Philippines' strongest legal and moral card. The world is watching how it's played. The future of Philippine energy security depends on a united, multi-pronged strategy. First, keep the world's eyes on the South China Sea. Transparency and international pressure are vital deterrents. Second, modernize the Navy and Coast Guard to assert presence and document every act of aggression. Third, deepen alliances, especially with the US, to raise the cost of any attack. The goal isn't war, but to make conflict too costly for any aggressor. Securing Malampaya is a test of national resolve, legal fortitude, and diplomatic skill. The new gas find is more than an economic prize. It's a test of sovereignty. The midnight standoff was a warning. The response must be unity, determination, and action. The nation's future depends on it.